Hi, I thought I'd like to make a video of some tips and tricks to take drawings from Fusion 360 and import them into JD2's camera lot program. Been using it for a couple of months and come up with a few workarounds and some tips to make the workflow go a little bit easier. Couple of things in Fusion 360. You'll be using pipe. I made a shortcut key. I just put on my slash. That way I can bring my pipe command, or you can also pin it up here in the toolbar by going down here to pipe and clicking the hamburger menu and then pin the toolbar, and it'll put it up here also. But let's just do a real quick sketch here. Hit L for line. Just make that 41 1/4 inches. I'm using 1.5 inch pipe, so half the radius is 3/4 inch, so that would make a 42-inch height overall when we're finished. Let's make another pipe here, or another post. It's 41 1/4. Let's make those 5 foot apart using the D command for dimensions. Just type in 5 foot. Make those two posts 5 foot apart. Let's make a top rail. Let's make an little hand grab bar here. Extend that out 12 inches. And we'll come down 9 1/4. And the way I got that dimension is in my profiles. I'm using 1.5 inch tubing, and with the K factor, after I did Bob's videos, with my 5.5 inch or 4.5 inch radius die, it's actually the achieve radius is 4 5/8, which times 2 to make 180 degrees will be a 9 1/4 inch between the tubes. So we'll just do that. Let's draw another tube here. Let's go ahead and put one at the bottom here, using L to make new lines. And let's space this. Use D for dimension if you want to adjust your heights. Let's make that 4 1/4. That way it'll end up being a 3.5 inch. After we make the tube command, I'll show you. That'll make 3.5 inch clearance between the ground and the first tube. Okay, after we get our simple sketch made, we'll finish sketch. Okay, here's where the fun part starts. We got the pipe here. After you get your basic sketch, you can hit pipe and you uncheck the chain command, and we're going to be using a hollow tube, so we'll click the first piece of pipe we want to make. We're going to use 1.5 inch pipe, and the thickness of the pipe I use is 1/8 inch, so we'll do 125. Okay, one trick you want to do here, you can do a new body, but I make them new components, and I'll show you why, because this is pretty neat for your fabricators. So we'll do new component. So go to each line, and you can either click on the line and right click and repeat pipe, or you can go up here and can select pipe, or if you do this keyboard shortcut, I can just hit slash and it instantly pulls it up. So we'll do new component there, hit slash, select our pipe, new component, slash, new component. Okay, on this top rail, I'm gonna make this top rail one complete piece. When we pulled into the JD2 Camelot, we need to make this top section here one piece. So when we select it, we'll select the next pipe. So it'll be one long pipe here. We hit OK and add a new component. Okay, we got all our basics. We're not going to worry about mitering it or coping the ends. All we're worried about is just the center lines of all your pipes. Now here's a neat trick. You can go up here to Design and go down here to Drawing. And we'll just name this Video. Oops. This will make a drawing for your fabricators, kind of like an IKEA build sheet. You can click your, let's go here, scale it up some. You can go over here to this tables, click parts list. This will give you a list of all your parts here, 1 through 7. And you can go in here and move the circles around if they're in the way. If you want down there, you can move them around however how you want. But whoever, if you have a separate fabricator, this makes it easy of knowing what parts goes to where. And if you get the scribing Excel, the scriber and the marker attachment, this will show you here in just a minute how this will be handy. Okay, I'm going to do this because I know that this is eventually going to be one pipe. So 5, 6, and 7 will eventually just be number 5. So we'll just delete 6 and 7 for right now. Okay, so you can print this out for your fabricators. We'll go back here to our sketch. Okay, now what we want to do is export this to a step file. So we'll go down here to Export, select Step, and that's good enough for that. Okay, now we'll go over here to our Camelot program, import a step file. Okay, it'll come up on detect features, so you select yes. We don't want to make a tube for the job yet because we got some stuff to do to it. So we'll go in here and edit tubes. Now I discovered a trick. Whenever you're importing anything from Fusion into Camelot, sometimes it doesn't work exactly right. So anytime you bring in a new step file, you want to go up here to Modify Profile. I'll show you why. Let's just start cutting our tubes. So we'll just select this tube. Okay, that tube cut. do this side. That one cut. That one cut. Oh, see, didn't cut. Okay, now watch this. And this works pretty much 100% of the time. I've never had it fail. Just close all this out, just reopen the file just to show you. We'll just import, we'll just start over. Back to edit tubes. Okay, now if we go in here, you can select any tube, click modify profile, make sure your whatever profile tubing you're going to be using is selected. Okay, and down here you select all tubes, so it should highlight everything that you've drawn in red, and hit apply to selected tubes. And what I think it does is just kind of redraws everything in Camelot to where there's, if something's off just a fuzz, it makes everything kosher for it. So now if we go in here and cut tubes, just bear with me here. Okay, that one's cut. That one's cut. That one's cut. Okay, remember last time this one wouldn't cut. See, now it's cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut the, and also you can click the cut with all other. I want separately each end. I want to show you how sometimes it fails if you just import a step file in from Fusion. Sometimes it doesn't always cooperate unless you do the modify profile, but normally you can get by with just clicking the tube and click cut with all others, and it'll cut both sides without having to go doing one by one. I just wanted to show one of the issues I used to have until I figured out to use the modify profile every time I import a new step file, and after that I don't have any issues at all. So let's go ahead and do this top tube or a post. Okay, that one's going to be a miter. So let's go ahead and, okay, remember how we said we was going to make this all one piece here. So now what we want to do is hold our control key down and select and highlight all those. Hit join selected tubes. Now click it again and make all tubes corners. Okay, now it bent it all around. That's why we went with that 9 1/4 inches. Now with our radius and stuff, it's a perfect 180 and comes back into the return tube there. Okay, we got one more thing to do here. We need to miter these two tubes. So hold our control key down and select both tubes. Hit miter. Okay, so everything looks good. Okay, another trick. If you got a marker or scribe tool, you can hit this wire marker, and what that will let you do, if you select the target tube, okay, this post touches it, this post touches it, so if we go down here to connected tubes, hold your control and select and see where it puts the yellow, that you can actually make that a marker or a scribe line with the engraver, and it makes it easier for your fabricators. They don't even have to measure, because that pipe, what they'll actually see is probably just this little V here at the end, and they just line that up with the center of the tube when they put it together. Okay, let's go to the other side. Well, I didn't hit apply here. Let's go back. Hit apply. Let's do this other tube. Hit apply. We got one more on this other side. Okay, we need to recut this one. Guess when we made it a bend, it took the cut off. Select shapes to cut. The pipe. Okay. Now we can go back to your wire markers. Select a target tube, connected tube, and apply. Okay, everything should be good, ready to fabricate. So if we're happy with all of our cuts, hit apply and close. Okay, now when you click that, you got one solid tube there. If we want to set up, let's go ahead and make us a job for a couple posts here. So we'll go select those, holding the control key. Hit make a new job for the tube. Okay, here's our marks here for tubes. Okay, notice here we've got S3 and S1 tube. If we go back to our fusion, if we go back to our old drawing, must have renumbered them. Usually these will line up. Okay, this changed numbers for some reason. I guess when I deleted these two, it renumbered them. Okay, we got number 1 and number 3. Number 1 and number 3. Okay, what you can do, another tip, go here to text contours and the DXFX and text. If you go to text, okay, we're on tube number 3, so let's number this 3. Let's make that a little bit bigger, and I always just kind of put that at a different position on the tube. Hit update, and it shows you it's going to do number 3. Uncheck the apply to all tubes, so it only does this one tube. Okay, now we'll select our number 1 tube here. Hit update text, shows number 1. Hit apply. Okay, now it gives us a 3 and a 1 cam marker. Cam markers is the indexes where your 2 middle tubes was contacting it. And actually on the post number 3, it had 2 tubes contacting one. So what we need to do is nest our tubes. Okay, everything looks good, so let's make our operations. So we're going to do our markers first. So do number 3, number 1. Now we'll do our cam markers. I'm going to use the scribe tool, that way it won't wipe off by accident. And then we'll finally do our cuts, which is cutting the pipes off to length. Run our post processor. Let's name it okay. If we animate it, it's going to do our number, scribe where the pipes meet, and then cut it to length. And that's all we have to do on to those. If we want to do something with bends, select this tube. We'll do the bend selected tube. I always like to be holding the long end of the tube, but everybody's different. When you're doing a 180, you want to start back here as your first bend, and your second bend will be up here. So you got those backwards. Yeah, it was pulling it up right to start with. That way it bends it, and then it'll bend them together. So if you're happy with that, you make a job for that. Just overwrite that. It shows you the two different bends. Shows your cuts. Pretty much the same way you do your nesting. Making an operation, do a marker and do the bends. Do another. Now we're going to cut them. So let's give that a little bit more spacing. And run our post processor. Now it's going to draw our bending marks and alignments, and then cut the pipe to length, and then you just use your bender to bend that final piece. Well, back up here, I forgot to number that. You want to go back here to text. That's a tip I just discovered the other day, so it's not in my workflow just yet. Check apply to all, update so it puts number 5, so according to our drawing, that tube's going to be number 5. Apply to tubes. And then make a new operation. Move that up to the top of the list there. I'll run a processor again. Okay, now it'll mark our number 5 and then mark our bending lines and then cut the tube. Okay, if we want to do something a little bit more advanced, let's build off our original drawing here. So we want to do some pickets. Close this out. Okay, we've got to go back to our sketch here. Right click on it, and this is our original drawing. So let's make us a line right in the middle. See the little triangle? Shows you it's the middle of that line. Okay, we'll hit close. Okay, we want to do let's do our pipe command, which is my shortcut slash, where you can go up here to pipe. Okay, pipe is, you don't necessarily have to have a pipe. If you hit this selection, you can make triangle materials, circles, or squares. So we're going to use 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square rod for pickets. So it's going to be a 1/2 inch. And it's not hollow, so we're going to check that. And this time we're going to make these bodies just so they won't, you can make them components or bodies, either one. If you make it a body, it won't show up in your parts list. If you make it a component, it will. But okay, so now we got our square picket. So now we want to go here to pattern. We'll do a rectangular pattern. Go in here and select bodies. And what we want to pattern is our picket here, the first one. Direction, you can click this line or this line, it doesn't matter. Just shows you what line you want it to go along. We want spacing because we want to make these 4 inches or less apart. So we'll go in here and type in 4 inches and see how it comes out. Direction, default's one direction, which is shown is going to go to the left here. But if we go symmetric, it's going to go both directions. So when we start clicking a button here, it's adding. Okay, so it takes to make them 4 inches apart. There's 15, but I don't like this little gap on each side. So what I'm going to do, let's back this up to 10 for right now. Let's make this, let's try 3 3/4 inches apart. And start adding them. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay. So now we got our pickets in here. So let's go ahead and export this to a step file. Let's make this V2. Okay, go back here to Camelot, import our select our V2. So to detect the features, okay, now we go in here to edit tubes. Remember, first thing to do is modify profile, select all tubes, so it's going to select all the tubes we're wanting to make, and then apply. Okay, now here's all of our no pickets. We can hit cut tubes, select our bottom rail. Now if we hit before, if you do it one at a time, you're going to have to go through each one of these pickets to cut it. But now if you hit cut with all others, it's going to cut this one, and cut all your holes for your pickets. So hit apply, and then let's go up here and do the same with the other here. Hit apply. So notice it's got everything all cut. And if we want to go ahead and apply and close, if we want to make these two bottom a job here, so right there. Go ahead and nest our tubes. It's got both tubes in here. It's got all of our holes for our pickets. Okay, so if we want to go in here to edit text, be sure to uncheck that. Okay, if we make a new drawing here, you know, IKEA build cheap. Go up here to parts list. Got all your tubes numbered here. Another thing you can do dimensions on this. If you want to make it look professional, Fusion doesn't, when you do dimensions using the pipe command, it doesn't always get exactly where you want and give you the right dimensions. But I found if you do the center line and select all your pipes, it'll give you the center line of every pipe, which is how we draw it to start with. So now when you do dimensions, go from the center of this pipe to the center of that pipe. If we want to go to if you want to go from that gives you all your original measurements. If you're on something that requires measurements. Oops. Well, you get the gist of it. But go back here and do our numbers. So we got tube 4. We'll just change this to number 4 or whatever your IKEA number is relates to that tube. Sometimes they get off a little bit, so you just gotta kind of change as needed. As far as I can tell, you can't change. That's one thing in Camelot. It doesn't let you go in here and edit the name of the tube. So this in 6, you can't. You can change points and stuff, but you can't change the name. It'd be nice if you could change the name. That way, if your drawing did reflect a different number, you could change that. Okay, so now we'll go in here and add the text. So let's go tube 4. If it doesn't give you the apply to current tube, you might have to hit the update text so it draws it on there. This one's tube 2. There we go. Wasn't wanting to cooperate. Except for I got the tube 4. Select the other tube. Got to hid myself there. Then you just go in here and do marker for number 4. Marker for number 2. We'll do all of our holes first for pickets. And all of our cuts. Now I'll go through here and cut all of our picket holes. Cut our tube off. Go to the next tube. Cut all the picket holes. So that's how you do that. And hopefully this will be a few little tricks that you may or may not know, and if you know some other ones, just let me know. Like I said, I've only been using this for a couple months. Bought a new MAD 5x10 table with the rotary cutter on the side, so it's all new to me on using Fusion 360 and importing into the JD2 program via step file, but it seems to be working pretty nice. It's come a long ways in the last few months, and I'm sure that Bob's working on it every day, and it's only going to get better. Like I said, I only real nice issue, or real nice thing I would like to see, is to be able to change the names of your tube numbers right here, just so it'd make it easier to keep track of with your IKEA sheet if they got out of sequence. That way you can just kind of keep a paper copy of this with you while you're working in Camelot, and everything would match. But it's not a deal breaker, but it'd just be one of those nice things to be able to do. But I'll continue this with another video in the future. Thanks.